reason it did not work for restaurants is that the original PPP round, and maybe it'll be improved this time around, let's hope it is, but the original round, which was established at the end of March, mandated that the funds be used within 12 weeks of receiving them. 12 weeks after a company, a small business, or restaurant received them, most communities had not yet given the green light to dining. And because 75% of those funds needed to be used for hiring back your staff, which was a great idea in and of itself, but you couldn't hire your staff because you couldn't open. If you received the funds, you were just on the hook to pay back more money that you didn't have with interest. So I really, really hope this time around we can do something that much more resembles the bipartisan approach, which was the Restaurants Act, which is a really, really good program if Congress will approve it.
So waiting to see on how long those PPP loans, I guess, would be given out and how long they would be, hopefully to get you through to a pandemic. In the meantime, Danny, we had you on 2 months ago when you were shocked that the stimulus talks were breaking down. Here we are 2 months later, post-election, and nothing has happened yet. What's been the impact on the industry?
Well, it's been pretty dire, but let's talk about different parts of the industry. Firstly is geographically, if you're part of the country that is a much more warm climate, say the Sun Belt or the West Coast or Florida, certainly, you still have the opportunity to have outdoor dining, assuming that it's legal in your state to do so. That's going to help. If you're in a climate like Chicago or Ohio or New York or New England, forget it. There's just no way. You will not have income other than successfully being able to pivot into the takeout and delivery business. And that leads me to the fast casual segment. Irrespective of what part of the country they're in, they're doing pretty well because most fast casuals have long ago gotten a running start on using digital ordering for takeout and for delivery and curbside pickup. So things don't look quite as bleak in that category.
Danny, for the restaurants that have survived this long during such a tough year, do you think they have the resilience, the balance sheet, the firepower to get through the winter months? Or are we at the tip of the iceberg in terms of bankruptcies for restaurants, closures for restaurants, that over 6 months could be outdone in the next 2 months?
Well, Wilf, I think the answer is both. I think that the light that we finally have at the end of the tunnel, because really since March, it's been like trying to plan to run a marathon and somebody keeps saying, guess what? It's actually 28 miles. Nope, it's actually 30 miles. The goalpost keeps getting moved. Finally now, I think with the vaccine, a lot of us say, if we can just hang in there till the weather gets warm and we can serve outdoors again, and then hopefully there will be some stimulus and hopefully the vaccine will take effect. We think we can make it. Now, on the other hand, there's a heck of a lot of businesses that are being pressured by their landlord, and that's really the big cost. What PPP also failed to do was to allow restaurants to pay any kind of accounts payable. And this is a little bit complicated, but you got to follow me on this one. If you are in the restaurant business, you're generally paying 30 to 60, some cases 90 days after you've bought your product. That means that when restaurants were shut down back in March, many of them had 2 to 3 months of accounts payable. The PPP funding was not permitted to be used for that. Now you've got landlords asking for back rent. The only way to get back into business is to pay off your accounts payable. So the real bleak story for full service restaurants, especially mom and pop independent restaurants across the country right now, is even when you want to get back in business, you may not be solvent. So we're truly, truly depending on some intervention from the federal government. And we've got millions and millions of employees who have not had work now for many, many months. November, by the way, was the first month since March where we saw once again a decline in restaurant employment. It had been slowly building up, largely because of the warm states, and now that's going backwards again. So something positive, light at the end of the tunnel, But I also think that there's going to be a lot of landlords handing eviction notices and a lot of restaurant supply companies saying, we just can't serve you anymore.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.